Everyone has a story. Welcome to In Her Words, a podcast from women in entertainment where female creatives and allies share their stories in their own words.
This is a dedicated space centered on how to harness creativity for inspiring and impactful projects in the ever-changing landscape of entertainment.
I'm Renee Rossi,
I'm Gretchen McCourt.
and this is In Her Words.
Welcome to In Her Words. We have a great show for you guys today. As you know, we love to speak to different women in the industry, and Sonja Wajih is the original badass. She is a stunt woman, just recently Emmy-nominated for The Rookie. She's worked on Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. This is just a really, really great, unique look into a world that a lot of women are in, but we don't get to hear about a lot. So we think you're really going to enjoy this episode.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
And Emmy, so exciting.
Oh my
I'm-
gosh. Yeah.
Has it just been surreal for you?
It's been very surreal. It's funny because I didn't even, if I think back, okay, it wasn't even in the realm of possibility. And now, at the beginning of this year, I made a vision board, and on that vision board, I had, I planted the seed last year with my best friend. And it was just this wild seed that you put into the ground of thought. And now I put 3 Emmy little figurines on my vision board.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Now I'm like, okay, now we're here. Let's keep stepping forward.
Oh my gosh, that is so amazing. Congratulations. I'm so excited. You're actually the first person in stunts we've spoken to. Kind of not surprising given the limited women, but in some ways, but
No.
I'm excited to kind of hear your story and kind of, and then talk about The Rookie. And so it's I'd love to dive in. How did you get into this? It's,
Oh, gosh.
I was checking out your Instagram and I was very jealous that I can't do 99% of what you do.
It's a lot of training. Okay. Don't be discouraged because you can do it if you just had the time and the energy to put towards learning something new. It's a wild ride, but it's such a fulfilling one because a lot of the stuff, I never thought that I would be set on fire, and that I could do it. But then it happens and you're like, wow, we're capable of so much, Okay, so how I got started is
It's I would just love to kind of was it a love of fitness that kind of put you into this? How did you get here? Just because it's
I ask myself that often.
It's not something you talk about very often, just in the industry. It's not a conversation that comes up so often.
I know. And I recognize that when I get to talk to people or I meet new people. They're like, wait, what? Stunts? So I've always been a mover. I was a tomboy growing up. I played soccer for most of my youth, all the way up into high school. Funny enough, my high school was this magnet high school, performing arts in New Jersey, high tech high. And I played sports all the way up into high school. They didn't have a girls soccer team. So I just tried out for the boys soccer team and made it. And then I got other 2 or 3 other girls to join at the same time. And we still played all boys soccer team. So it's funny to think back to how that kind of works out now. But in high school, I started dancing, and then I decided, I'm going to pursue dancing. And I did in college. I got a degree in performance dance and a degree in marketing, and had always done martial arts when I was younger as well. Instead of dance class, I went to martial arts class. And, life happened. I was pursuing dance. I was pursuing TV hosting. I was after college, I moved to New York City for an event production job, and living in New York, you had to have all the different types of jobs to make ends meet to uh, pay rent. So, martial arts, kind of went to the wayside. And then it wasn't until I got the bug and moved out to LA and said, I'm going to try this dance scene now. I'm going to try TV hosting. Um, and I, all within those years, I got engaged. And it wasn't until I broke off that engagement that I was like, I want to get back into martial arts again. I want to,
Wow.
it was an outlet to like get out the emotions. So I got back into martial arts while still dancing, and one of my break dancer friends back in New York, had started talking. We were catching up, and he said, "Yeah, I'm getting into stunts now." And I asked him all these questions, and it was just like fueling. Like I was getting excited listening to his story, and just like, "Oh yeah, like I want to fight, and I want to like do all these badass tough things too." And it was just like a perfect storm of like where I was at in life with what I already loved to do. And I said, okay, I'm going to just, I don't know how to start, but I'm just going to start, and I'll start going to the gyms, and I'll start, training and doing all the workshops and talking to people. And then one thing led to another. And in the performing arts world, there's the union, and you can, get your vouchers to get into the union, or someone could just Taft-Hartley you, which is they fast track you into the union, no vouchers needed. You're a perfect match or a perfect double, or you have a very specific skill that they need, and they'll just fast track you in. And I was a very like a almost a perfect match to this one actress, and I got Taft-Hartley, and I was her stunt double for her movie. And
Wow.
then it just is referred. You keep adding tools to your toolbox, and yeah, you get referred for more jobs, and that's just how it all ended up happening.
So when in terms of like your first role and walking on set and going through the stunt, it's like what did that feel like as a first as like this is what I'm doing. Like I'm gonna light myself on fire. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
thrown by a car.
Yeah. It's my inner dialogue is very much different than like what's happening outside. My inner dialogue is a little bit more like imposter, like you're like, "Wait, how did,
Yeah.
this is am I doing this? This is incredible." But then also I'm like, "I asked for this. This is what I wanted." That
Yeah.
this is I'm being provided. I'm ready for this moment. I know I've trained for this moment, and whatever skill or stunt it may be, like I've trust myself enough that like I know I can do this. So that from the beginning of my career of like, this is you're an imposter, to like to now where I know that I'm very well trained, and I train every
Yeah.
day, and I stay ready for whatever comes next. And you don't know what's going to come next. So you just kind of
Yeah.
have to stay ready for everything and sharpen every tool as, balanced out as you can. But it's a lot of people ask me like, you love adrenaline, you must be, evil kind of like adrenaline junkie. And honestly, like, I don't really view myself as an adrenaline junkie. It's almost
Yeah.
like, because there's still fear. Like I still have this like bit of fear, but you walk through that fear, and once you get to the other side, you feel invincible. You're like, what? I was scared of this, or I didn't, if I'm training and I'm like, I don't think that I could do a back handspring, but then you train and you're like, okay, I can, like, you could do it. You could do
Yeah.
anything that you put time and effort into. And I've just have kept realizing that along the way, and it builds your confidence for sure.
How do you like when you look at something like and I we can go into the rookie, but generally speaking, how does that how do you train? Like do you when you don't know kind of what's ahead of you? Like go
Yeah.
lighting yourself on fire. Like I was watching that on your Instagram and I was like, "Oh my God, I'd freak out." Like, because there's so many levels of fear to push through. Like
Right.
one, you just have the innate should I be doing this? Two, like the actual physical, you're in flames.
Right.
Um, how do you keep yourself? Like, what does training look like for you on that front? Because it's like I would estimate that you get some of the scripts that you do work on not, you know, months in advance for training.
I sometimes don't know what I'm doing until I get there. 'Cause it's an expected skill, like, you know, as some coordinators will say, "Okay, hey, Sonia, you're gonna fall down, 2 flights of stairs," and, uh, they know I could do that because I was either referred to someone who I've done it for before, or they've seen it in my reel, or there's a lot of expected skills as stunt performers, like, we know how to fall down, we know how to take a gunshot reaction, we know how to, you know swing a sword, like, it's really being connected with your body and practicing all these sort of movement patterns, and I every day, I'm in the gym at 5 AM, it's strength and conditioning, and it could even start there where, I know some like, when I train or work out with my sisters, like, just the normal stuff, strength and conditioning, there's some hesitation to even to go heavier in weight, say, simple as that, and it's just like, all right, go a little bit heavier, go a little bit heavier, and you gain that strength. That same mentality goes towards these skills. You take little bites at a time and you train up for it. So it's a lot of sharpening your mind too, to know that I can do this and it is possible, and I trust in myself and my team around me to keep me safe. Um, yeah, it's you it's a daily practice for your body and your
Yeah,
mind. Yeah.
I can imagine. So let's talk a little bit about The Rookie. How did you come to be, Jenna Dewine's stunt double?
Oh,
How did that come to fruition?
um, so this nominated Emmy sequence, the car hit was my first day on set of The Rookie as Jenna's double. And I was referred by another stunt coordinator, Tim Mikalecki, to David Rowden, who's the stunt coordinator for The Rookie, who's also Emmy nominated. I had done 2 car hits for Tim previously, so he knew that I had the skill set needed to, successfully perform and safely perform a car hit. They also know that I train in fights, so the rest of that sequence is a fight inside the car, um, where I worked with the actor as well as, Paul Lacavera, who was that actor's stunt double. So yeah, it was just referrals. It was, I just got a phone call from David Rowden, and we had connected before, and it for, I don't believe it was Jenna's double, but for another stunt job on that show. And our schedules never connected, or that stunt had gone away, so we were kept missing each other. So, you see a stunt coordinator call you and you get, excited and you're like, okay, one phone call could change your life. And it is so true. So he called me and he said, "Hey, this is David Rowden. We have a stunt coming up, uh, and it's a car hit. How do you feel about that? And you ask all the questions. Okay, is it, how fast do you think, they'll be going? Or you don't ask any questions at all, and you're just like, okay, yes, I'm ready for this." So he called and he said, "Okay, this is a car hit and a whole full fight sequence, and it's a doubling job." And I was just like, "Let's go." Like, I've been here before as far as the car hit. I said, "Okay, yeah, I feel comfortable with that." Um, and for the fight, there was some rehearsal days that I couldn't make that another stunt woman was able to prep. Um, but it's comes down to the day. I think the day before I had just flown from visiting my mom in New Jersey, and I got in, and it was such a calamity of errors, like, my power was off the night before from it got shut off for some reason, it was incorrectly shut off, and it was just like, "Okay, I gotta get to bed, I gotta rest because tomorrow's a big day." The call's at, like, 6 AM, whatever. Um, and walking on set, you have the nerves. I mean, it's adrenaline mixed with nervousness, meeting new people, being around new people, seeing how the cast and crew operates. Every set is different. But just bringing your best to the day.
Yeah. Now you've worked across different, genres or verticals, right, in terms of content. How
Uh-huh.
has that differed? Like, what do you prefer to do, and what does that really look like? Everything from, like, Black Panther to The Rookie. It's like that's a spread.
Yeah. It is a spread. And at the beginning of my career, a lot of there's some performers that love only doing film and movies. And there's some stunt performers that really love television. Television works at a different speed than film. Television, much quicker pace. They got to pump out those episodes, within a few days and then move on to the next episode. Or they're prepping the next episode while they're filming the, the current episode. Whereas the film, you may have a couple months of prep and rehearsals, and then uh, the filming days are slightly slower paced, because they have months um, of filming scheduled. I love working both, actually. Um, there's certain people, there's certain sub performers that, you know, feel that film is just, I don't know, more posh, whereas and TV is just like, okay, quick pace, like your daily work, da da da. But I mean, both have a incredible amount of skilled and talented performers, obviously. And um, TV is awesome. I love working in Los Angeles. I love working at home. Um, but when you get the chance to travel, and which is now sadly few and far between, just given the state of the industry,
Yeah.
you get the chance to travel and be a part of a core team, for months on end. You create this bond with people, and you're in the trenches, and um, it's just a different feeling. I love the fast pace of television, um, but I also love feeling as part of a team when you film movies and you're part of the longer timeline.
What was the craziest stunt you've ever done so far?
So far, well, I mean, this car hit was my hardest hit of my career, so it has a little special
Oh,
place in my
wow.
heart, and it's even more makes it more awesome that it's Emmy nominated. What?
Bruce
Um,
goes to Bruce.
yeah, yeah, it was worth it. I would say the other major one I did early on, actually, was for LA's Finest television show with Jessica Alba and Gabrielle Union. I was doubling a guest actress, Melanie Minacino, and she was like an assassin, and she was fighting Jessica and Gabriella's characters on a rooftop, and the rooftop was of a 15-story building here in Koreatown, actually. And her action was throwing a grenade, but she also gets shot. So I had to throw a grenade, take a gunshot reaction, and then I fall off the building from the roof of 15 stories. That's like 150 feet.
Oh my
But
gosh.
I was on a rigging apparatus called a descender. So you free fall for a couple seconds, and then the descender slows you down. So um, you don't touch the ground. I
Okay.
guess like slows you. You're not like abruptly stopped. It sort of like slows you down to right above the ground. That was a crazy one.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
That's intense.
It was intense. It was intense, but again, like I did that, like super fulfilling, and wild to think back on.
Are there, it's like as you just mentioned, what is your recovery like in
Mm.
terms of how do you keep yourself grounded? It's like you're doing a lot of things that are very adrenaline junky, kind of, but at the same time you're not. But how do you keep yourself grounded and how do you recover? Because
Uh,
it's like those are moments for you.
yes, yes. It's, yeah, it's definitely a lot of preparation, like the training that I do in the gym and, um, for the skills, the that I like to keep sharp, definitely, you build muscle memory, you build muscles around it. It's almost as if you're preventing before any injury happens. Naturally, there's like you'll have the soreness that comes along with, like, having to take a head reaction, your neck is sore or, um, you learn as through the process of, "Okay, what my body needs, would it does it need, like, heat to recover? Does it need the cold to recover? Does it," um, "Should we go get massages?" And it's almost some performers are essentially professional athletes. But we don't really have
Yeah.
that support arm of a professional team where we can, like, walk into the office and ask our PT, "Hey, this is
Yeah.
hurting," or, "This is kind of feeling tweaky," or, but as a stunt performer, I create a network of people that are my go-tos,
Okay.
obviously, I pay out of pocket, there's not a sponsored sort of set
But you know
for.
what's right for your body.
Yeah, I know what's right for
Yeah.
my body, and it's your just complete body awareness, and I go visit those people accordingly. And you have
Okay.
to, I mean, I think we need to be better at it. I always tell myself I just need to be better at the recovery part of it and the rest because it's easy to fall into like the grind of like you got to keep going. And a lot of the times, I mean, on set, you work through pain. You don't just wanna be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I twisted my ankle, I can't work." You're like, "What? No, you have to tape the ankle up and pretend like it doesn't hurt and, like
Yeah.
and keep going with the day." You don't wanna be that person, you don't wanna disappoint the team. I mean, if you get really injured, obviously go take care of yourself,
Yeah.
but, there's an element of, like, "Okay, we have to push through the discomfort and keep going."
It's not a profession people talk about, and we have a ton of creatives, we have a ton of, people who are trying to get into the industry, and you see all of these actors and actresses who also do their own stunts, and then, obviously you have, stunt folk that come in. What would you tell somebody who wants to break into this type of work, and what they need to know, like, especially as the industry continues to change and what that looks like?
Yeah. It is not for the faint of heart. It is not an easy, uh, industry overall, and it's not an easy department to get your foot in the door. You really have to be consistent with your training. You have to constantly show up and show people that you'll show up consistently. It's, my advice is, find something you truly love to do. For me, it was martial arts and it was that fight choreography and fighting. Find that one thing that you truly love to do. You don't feel like it's work at all. And sharpen that as much as you can. And then along the way, you find other areas, whether it's motorcycle riding or driving or, you know, rigging where you have to learn how to, build these huge portions of equipment that are going to, basically have some performers' lives on the line. Um, so it's you find what you're passionate about and just sharpen all those skills and the more you have, the more you bring to the table, the more of a like multi-use tool you can be. But that first step, I believe, is finding that one thing that you love, or that you might already have a good base and just keep sharpening that and let people know, at in this and at this point it's all about Instagram and social media and that's
Yeah.
kind of like our portfolio.
Yeah.
Let people know you're out there and you're putting the time in and you're putting the work in and you have the skill and you're good at it. And don't be afraid to, show yourself off essentially.
When it's like I know we're kind of coming into time, but when you watch shows and when you watch films, is that something that you're hyper aware of in terms of how certain stunts are done? Is that
Yeah.
something that, like, you zone in on and you're like, "Wow, that was cool. I wish I could do that," or "I
Yes.
wanna do that in my career." Are there, like, moments like that that you find yourself dreaming of in some ways?
Oh, yes. There are stunts from new movies and from past movies and television shows that I see and I'm like, "Ooh, I hope I get to do that." I hope someone writes that into the script for someone, you know, yeah, and when I watch it's funny because now that I'm a part of the community and I see friends in TV shows and movies, and it's funny because you're like, "Oh, yeah, like, I've worked out with, Annalay, and I've worked out with, Colby."
Yeah,
My mom my if my family's watching with me, they're like, "What? You know that person? You know how they" and then they ask me how, "How could it have been broken? How'd they do that stunt? How'd they make it look like this?" And, um it's funny to know, like, what's behind the movie magic and how it all comes to fruition in the end. It's definitely a unique perspective.
it's very cool to see kind of how films and TV are made, and it's something that I think has enamored audiences for decades.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
there, in terms of things that you're watching right now, is there anything that you're watching or anything that you feel that's on your lineup? It's like we always ask our guests what they're watching so we can continue to build our library.
Oh, um, well,
Not to put you on the spot.
it's not new. Um, I have it's not a new show, but I am a big fan of Bones. I started to rewatch Bones.
I'm one of those. I'm a rewatcher. Gretchen, my partner in crime, is much more of a newbie. She'll
Yeah.
let things that come out, and it takes me, like, at least, like, a year to catch up with everybody else because I go to, like, what's regular or what I know.
Right, yeah, and I'm up to date on, on new shows, and there's so many, so as you know, so many streaming, platforms that and
Yeah,
it's interesting because I get to work on a few different ones, so whatever I like to watch the shows that if they have
yeah,
a previous season, the shows that I work on, because we don't always get the script, so I don't really know the full story of, like, a character that I've played or a
yeah.
character that I doubled. Um, One show that's actually really awesome, also filmed in Los Angeles, it's called The Countdown, and,
Okay,
I got to work on that a bit, and it's action-packed, and I would say that would be my new show that I've started watching,
okay.
and my my classic Bones that
Love it.
I
I
love.
absolutely love it. I was gonna say The Rookie is a great show too. I started wa
Oh,
I was like a ABC Castle fan that, like, so I followed, like, the Nathan Fillion over, and I was like
yeah.
in terms of that and Eric Winter, like,
The
right? Yeah.
Rookie,
The
yes.
Rookie is
The
great.
Rookie.
It's gotten such amazing reviews. It's always on top 10 lists,
Oh,
and
yeah,
they've done a great job with it.
it's a highly watched show, and for good reason. There's great
Yeah,
action, there's, uh, great characters. I wanna say it's like I was thinking about it, I'm like, "Wow, there's a lot of female leads
yeah,
or female, like, series regulars on that show." Maybe the most of any show that's happening right now. Um, from the police officers to, the fire EMT.
yeah.
Um, I feel that I mean I may be biased, but
You're
Rookies
allowed to be.
so yeah, it's on season 8, and I see it going, being one of those shows that's,
Yeah, it continues. It has the fan base, and it
it
just
has the
continues to
fan base,
grow
it's
more
great
and more.
grow, yeah,
So,
and a lot of action to be had.
yeah. Well,
Mhm.
we are so excited for you. Congratulations again, and on the
Yeah.
Emmy nod, and it's amazing. So we'll be watching and be cheering you on, and thank you so much for being here
Yeah,
today.
thanks for having me on. I know as you said, stunts I'm the first stunt woman that you have spoken to, and hopefully not the last. Hopefully there's
Definitely not.
so I know our line of work is very different, but I think there's a lot to
It's
be
fascinating.
lot to
There's a lot
share.
to yeah, there is a lot, and I think it's an interesting path, and I think it's a contribution that I think sometimes gets overlooked in some ways. So I think it's amazing what you do, and I'm very much in awe. And again, I was looking at your Instagram and I was just like, oh my gosh, I gotta hit the gym.
There's so there's
I was
so
like,
many
I
badass
couldn't.
women out there, so I appreciate you turning the volume up for us.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to In Her Words. We hope you'll join us at womeninentertainment.com and go to our Substack for extended interviews and behind the scenes access.